we're gonna show you guys how we did this year. And let me tell you, it's shocking. Kinda. So yes, it's the time of the season that Mother Nature just won't let you suck any more of her sap. And the time has come. We're pulling buckets today. We're gonna get these buckets washed up, our IBC totes washed up. This is one of the saddest parts of the whole season right here. Oh, not in that bucket, but. So we had these buckets sitting up about a week or so. We're just going around and dumping them. And we're gonna take them up to the barn and wash everything up and stack it up, dry it up, and get it ready for next year. All right, guys, Candace here has a hammer, and she just gives a spile, just a small little tug there with her hammer, and it comes right out. So you do not need to do anything with the hole. Leave the hole alone. It will heal itself. It'll be just fine. Nothing's gonna get in there. Nothing's gonna happen to it. That tree will be just fine. It'll heal itself in a few weeks. Even you'll see some things on the inside coming out, and that's the tree healing itself. Now I like to pull my taps a different way. I usually just go up and kind of unscrew them with my hand like that. Some of them get a little tough if they were really seated in there, so you can't do that. But just a quick tip, small hammer and a little motivation gets that tap out, and you'll live to tap your tree another day. Oh, full buckets. Hate dumping out full buckets. We've had a few days around here in Michigan where it was too warm, and there's no way. The sap is cloudy. Our trees are starting to bud out, and we are done with our season. We're gonna take all these buckets up to the barn. We had to go in front of the house and get all those buckets, and then we're gonna tell you how our season went. It's been a few days since we went out and collected our buckets. We're just getting to washing this stuff up right now. I just got my trusty old garden hose here. Got our IBC totes. I just got them kind of on an angle, and we're gonna wash this stuff up. But instead of boring you guys with, sitting here watching me wash buckets, this is definitely not one of the most fun portions of syrup season, but it is very necessary. If you don't have your equipment clean and ready to go, then it's not good, man. It's not good. We always want to make sure we have our equipment clean. We do this every year. We go through everything. We wash our pan, we wash our IBC totes, we wash up our buckets, our hoses and spiles as well. We also wash our lids too. I've got all my buckets and lids on the trailer back here behind the barn, so I just bring a few over at a time and we'll wash them up. You guys are probably asking, Eric, I don't care about all this. How did your season end up? Well, let me tell you. We try to pick a nice day when the weather's at least a little bit warm to wash up our buckets and all of our equipment. Today it's actually 80 degrees. It's supposed to get up to about 82 to 84 today, which is very uncommon for us here in Michigan for the middle of April. But we're supposed to get snow on Monday morning, so we're supposed to get at least enough to cover the ground, and it'll probably melt right away since it's been so warm and the ground's warmed up and everything's starting to, the trees are budding out. My garden, my perennials in the garden are taking off. So it is spring. We are there. But Eric, you still haven't told us how your season went. Yeah. Syrup season. It seems like so long ago. So we began our season on February the 5th. That's when we tapped. We put in 60 taps out here, and we waited about a week before we got our first collection. So we began our season on February 5th, and we actually ended on March 26th was our final boil. So we had 7 full weeks of actual syrup season this year, which was not the longest that we've ever ran before, but it was, I think, the second longest. So that really helped us up our totals from the previous years. The longer you get to collect sap, the more syrup you're gonna get. It's kind of obvious. With running for 7 weeks, we had a lot of sap that we collected. After I totaled everything up, we collected 665 gallons of sap this year, which I believe is a record sap haul. Without having our collection process with the truck and the IBC totes, we wouldn't have ever been able to get that much sap collected. One of the other things that really helped us out this year was processing all that sap. So in order to go through that much sap, I had to process it faster than I ever have. And actually, adding that second membrane to the RO system was a game changer night and day. I would say that was the unsung hero of our syrup season this year. We RO'd more sap this year than ever before, and we did it twice as fast as we've ever done it before. That was totally 100% probably the reason why we got so much syrup at the end of the year was because I was able to process it. In years past, I wouldn't have been able to get through that much sap at all. I usually during the syrup season take off a few days at work just so I can get through all of the sap. This year I actually only took 1 day off work because I was able to process all that sap on the weekends without trouble at all. The other reason I was able to get through so much sap this year was because of our new evaporator. The new evaporator alone would have made my season so much easier, but with all the other upgrades that we did, it was collectively our best season yet. With the new evaporator, I was not only able to save a lot of fuel on wood because of the efficiency of this new evaporator, but I was also able to put it right here in the barn. And I tell you what, years past we've done it around the corner of the barn and we put up a tent and it was comfortable. This year putting it in the barn where we could shut the doors if it was snowing or raining, it was not cold at all. We had the whole barn to heat up. We had the few heaters back here that kept us warm. That's a major thing right there, because if you are uncomfortable while you're boiling all this sap all year long, it's very draining on you. And you get to the end of the season, you don't want to continue anymore. You're like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to make anymore. But making it enjoyable for everybody and being able to be out here and have fun doing syrup again, that to me was a major upgrade in itself right there. Was just the comfort of being able to not be out in the weather conditions, saving on fuel with the wood. Our last upgrade that we had this year was our Gas One propane burner. And it may seem like a small upgrade, but to me, that saved hours and hours of finishing time. With our old propane burners, it would take forever to get the sap boiled down to finished syrup consistency. So with being able to finish our syrup faster, I could finish a whole batch while I was boiling down the next batch, and that was so much easier. One tip with finishing that we found throughout the year as well, if you can keep that syrup hot and go right from your evaporator right into your finish pan, finish it, put it right back into your vacuum filter press, filter it, bottle it, all while not cooling down. It was so much easier that way, so much less time spent finishing, and it was all overall a much better product. It was clearer, less niter, it was easier to run through the vacuum filter press. So if I had one pro tip for that vacuum filter press and finishing your syrup, go right from evaporator to finished boil to filter press to bottle. So much better product. So you're probably asking yourself, hey Eric, you still haven't told us how much syrup you made this year. And with all of the upgrades that we did, none of this would have been possible at all. We were almost at the verge of not making maple syrup anymore because it was very unpleasant. We were getting very discouraged with it. But this year, with all these upgrades, it kind of renewed our vigor in making maple syrup. Not only are we gonna continue to make maple syrup, but we got some upgrades next year. We've got it planned out already. Candace and I have some plans about some videos that we're gonna be making throughout the summer with our maple syrup process as well. So you guys make sure to tune into those videos when they show up in your notifications. So our grand total of finished syrup this year was 665 gallons of sap collected, ended up being just over 9 gallons of finished syrup. Now wait a minute, I know you're probably pulling up the calculator on your phone right now and going, Eric, that doesn't add up. You should have like 16 gallons of finished syrup. Trust me, I know this. I've done the math many times when I'm standing out here boiling and I'm thinking I'm gonna get 2-gallon run and it ends up being just over a gallon or something. What we noticed here at Gagne Farms throughout the year is our sugar content was very low to start. Now I know that that's usually how it goes here at Gagne Farms because we don't tap a lot of sugar maples. We have a lot of reds and a lot of silvers that we tap, and they typically run a little bit lower sugar content. But we were right about 1% to 1.5%, which is very low. So I was almost boiling 50 gallons of sap to get a gallon of syrup. The ratio was way down. I've heard from other people around here, their sugar content was low this year as well. It might have just been a yearly thing. We've ran a lot higher sugar content before, closer to 2.5% a lot of times. So that's one thing that we're going to be working on here at Gagne Farms for this next year, is we are going to be identifying better maple trees to tap, better producing for sap flow and for sugar content. There are a lot of people out there that are making their own maple syrup, and I would say there's a lot of people that are not using the correct methods to get their syrup to finished syrup quality. So there's a lot of people out there that on different social media sites, you know, they'll collect 100 gallons of sap and they'll have 4 gallons of syrup out of it. And that's usually not the case. There are some people that have some really good high sugar content trees and they get a lot more finished syrup off of their sap than we do, but you can't believe everything you see on the internet. So if somebody says they got, 40 gallons of syrup out of, 1,000 gallons of sap or something, you might want to check the consistency of that syrup before I put it on my pancakes. Here at Gagne Farms, I run with a syrup hydrometer, and that to me gets it as close to finished syrup consistency that I can. We have some pretty thick syrup. It's not overdone and it's not watery. It's not underdone. I believe it's just right. I'll throw a bottle of my syrup up against anybody else's any day of the week, and we can compare. Without all these upgrades this year, this syrup season would probably have been a disaster. We appreciate all the familiar faces we've seen on our videos, commenting and posting with us, and we so appreciate all the new subscribers that we've gotten this year. We seem to really bump up around maple syrup season here at Gagne Farms, and that's great. I encourage you guys to watch some of our other long form content. We have lots of stuff coming up in the garden. We're getting bees here in the next couple weeks, and we just got a lot going on that's other than maple syrup. We do lots of things here on the homestead. We're not just a one-trick pony around here. We're doing this for our own self-sufficiency and to stay out of the grocery store, make our own food, grow our own food, raise our own livestock, and eat our own syrup on our own pancakes. So you guys, thanks again for sticking around. We've had a great season, and we are so blessed to have all of you guys follow along with us. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next one.